Welcome back. If you're a high school baseball player, you're already a few weeks into your season. That means you went through your tryouts and made your teams. But what was that process like? I'm Grayson Knight, and this is Baseball Podcasts Are Fun. Today I'm joined not one, but two members of Sauce Athletics, my travel ball organization, who made their high school teams. We're going to hear what their tryouts were like, any differences, and how their first few games have gone. Jameson Jones plays at Mountain View High School in Gwinnett County, and Hampton Rowland is also a freshman at Madison County High. Welcome, guys, and thank you for coming on the show. How are you?
I'm
I'm doing
doing
good,
great. It's good to
Gray.
be here.
So I know you both from the Sauce 15U team. You're a year ahead of me. And since you both just made your high school teams, I want to hear about your tryouts and what I might have to look forward to. So Jameson, want to tell us about your experience?
Yeah, so after being a few weeks in the season and comparing my like season to my tryouts, and it was a very similar to just running a practice and how you did at practice. You would really just basically like have an hour and a half on the field, mixed with everybody from every level, and you would be doing in and outs, and then it would be like the next hour, it was either you're on the field hitting or you're in our batting cages hitting. So it's really just a practice, and then you wanted to see how you would fit in with the program and as their practice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Hampton, you made varsity and JV. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit. But so was that pretty much the same tryout experience?
Yeah, it was pretty similar. Except the only difference with mine being a catcher is I caught a lot of bullpens. We have a decent amount of pitchers, and they want to see everyone on the bump. So, I they kind of had a rough idea who they had from the workouts previous to the tryouts and all that. So, we actually got rained out day one, but we got on the field, did some infield, outfield stuff. Pitchers threw, catchers caught, and then they saw us obviously swinging it in the cages. So pretty similar overall. They just wanted to see how disciplined and who they could really work with.
All right. So one thing I want to talk about is you said that you made JV and varsity. So how does that work? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so basically whenever JV's playing, obviously, I'm a varsity first kind of guy. So if JV and varsity's playing, I'd rather go play varsity just because, seeing the guys, stuff like that. But when JV and varsity are not lined up, I'll go play with JV, DH, sometimes catch for them. But at the start of the season, starting catcher, receiving and all that, that's where it got me ahead. Kind of struggled with the bat, so they let me get some at bats in JV, and now I'm kind of in between with both. Still going up playing with varsity, but also getting to DH or EH for JV whenever they have a game.
So this is for either of you, but do you remember seeing something at tryouts from like another player, something that they did or didn't do, and you were like, well, they're not gonna make the team, like a bad attitude or not hustling?
So for my experience, there was a couple of guys that you could tell were different skill sets than everybody else. Because obviously, high school is different than travel. Because high school, you have basically like everybody in your organization from rec all the way to travel trying out in one spot, and they all have a chance to get there. While on travel, it's more of the high end guys, especially in our organization. So you could see that the different varying levels of skill sets. There wasn't really much of attitude different as much it was really just it was basically all skill and how they reacted to not making plays or not being good in the in the batting cages or in hitting or on the mound or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Hampton, you want to add on to that?
Yeah, so I had a pretty different experience. Where I'm at, we don't have like a lot of travel teams, or high level travel teams at least. Sauce is pretty far away from me. But the biggest thing I saw was actually attitudes, different from our guys, being a lot more timid in the box, in the field. Even, when pressure was on, they were kind of like, yeah, I don't want to do this, or I'm not the guy. But in travel ball, that's like the biggest thing is I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna go out. That's my ball. So that was probably the biggest thing I saw. Apart from a very large skill difference from seeing sometimes even lower 90s in travel ball WWBAs to seeing 72 from their ace. So it's a little skill and also attitude is probably the biggest thing I saw.
I like to see the differences between you two. And that's definitely something like I can take in because I'm going to a different high school than you two. So that's definitely something that I can like experience when I get to high school. And I can't wait for high school ball. Um, so far, each of you have a couple of individual cool things that have happened in the past few weeks. Last week, Jameson, you had your first home run. So can you take us through that?
Yeah, so we've been playing Lanier, and I actually didn't know until like this kid's first at bat, and I had hit after him. But I played the kid on the mound like a bunch before. His name was Andrew Lee. He played on a bunch of different travel teams that I had played against. Like he was on the Mill Creek travel team like forever. I didn't even know he went to Lanier until I saw him on the mound. So I was like, okay, go back in my mind of what he had and all of that. And I just let what I had take over. Like I got to a 3-1 count and I was like, dude, I'm just gonna let one rip one time. And I got barrel and it just went over.
Yeah, that's awesome. And did you also have a walk-off hit? I heard something about that.
I did not. That was one of my varsity friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, you gotta love it. Hampton, you're a catcher, and one of your games, we have it on video. You caught a guy runner. You caught a runner napping at second. So, had you been watching him earlier, or was it just like a spur at the moment?
So I'm always hunting, always looking for a guy to make a slip or, get a little lazy. And I'd actually tried to backpick that guy at first, and I thought I got him, but the umpire thought otherwise. So, it was a high and outside or high and inside fastball, I guess, to a lefty. I was caught up there. He didn't think I thought I caught it, and I saw him kind of pumped and just let it rip. And he got caught napping. But yeah, that was fun. And then in the same game, there was a delayed steal. They ran delayed steals on us the whole game. But I got another kid caught stealing at second base in that same game. But unfortunately, the video kind of stuttered and buffered, so it wasn't. I didn't post that one. But
Okay.
yeah.
Are there any other cool moments that you guys want to share that happened?
I'll share one if that's okay, Jamie.
That's one.
Let me think. So with varsity, running is a big thing. That's getting in scoring positions always super super important, right? But one thing that I've noticed is that in warm-ups, you laser some throws down, coaches actually start taking notice of that. And guys aren't necessarily as selective, or guys are way more selective with the bases because they don't just have speed demons everywhere like most travel teams do nowadays. So unfortunately, teams just don't run anymore. Like a couple games ago, there was not a single attempt at a stolen base, and I believe there's only one attempt in 2 games against myself and my teammate. And that's one thing that I thought was very interesting because like we only faced this team once, and yet they did never want to run. And I also backpicked a kid at first base in that game as well. But that probably helped. But it's very interesting to me to see how little people run in the high school space, and that might just be the teams that we're playing and their skill sets. But that's one thing that I thought was very interesting and kind of exciting to me because it's a little boring, but it's also like hey, they think highly of me, so that's one thing.
You got anything,
Yeah,
James?
I can kind of piggyback off of what he said and just something that I've noticed too. Like I was about to say that I got my first start on the mound, like basically like ever. I don't think I've ever started a game. And like that was one of the things that I've noticed is between games and between actually teams, it's like I played I played my first 3 games were Peachtree Ridge, Lanier, and then Redan. And in that Redan game, like a bunch of kids stole because they were a quick team, they're a little quick team. And it was like I had to like slide step, I think like every single pitch. And it was just something I had to notice. But like in the Lanier games and in the Peachtree Ridge games, I was like, they're very selective. Like if their leadoff hitter got on, it was a stolen, they would steal. If their second guy got on, or if they but once they got to the bottom of their lineup, there was like no stealing. And with the Lanier team, there wasn't really any quick guys on that team. So not many of them stole, period. I think we had one chance. And it's just different skill set too. Because I'm on freshman ball, and I got one JV appearance last Tuesday, and on that JV appearance, we were playing Parkview, and they're a very smart team on every skill level. So they knew where guys were going at every time, and they knew what place to run at every time. So it depends on really just the skill set and all that when you're on running. I like to say, it just depends on the skill set of the team and just the philosophy for the team.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think is the number one difference between high school and travel ball? This is like the number one question that I want to ask from you guys.
I'll go. So, I'm only a 4A school, so relatively small. We have one of the harder regions in the state. We got Cherokee Bluff, North Oconee, the
Yeah.
4A champions last year. Cherokee Bluff's loaded. They got guys everywhere, D1 guys everywhere. Uh, a bunch of other really solid baseball teams in our region. So, it's in that aspect, it's really similar to travel, seeing, D1 guys, D1 commits. But as for my team itself, we don't really have the luxury of those type of guys. We have one D1 committed pitcher. He's a he's committed to Georgia State, I believe, but that is our only D1 commit. But the main difference between high school and travel ball, what I would definitely say is number one, mindset for my place and pitching, because we do not have the luxury of getting pickup guys, just bringing in pitchers for long tournaments. We play 7 innings every game unless, it's a run rule. But 7 innings is a lot. And especially if you're playing double headers where it's 2 7 inning games, that is a lot of pitching that you got to burn up. And then the next 2 days later, you got to play another doubleheader or, whatever close to that. So that's probably the biggest thing is mindsets, attitudes, and then pitching.
Is there extra
Yeah, it's very
innings in high school or is it a tie?
With I'm not sure about freshmen because we don't have the luxury of having a freshman team, but we on JV most of the times we don't go to extra innings. We'll end in a tie, but on varsity, unless it breaks like a curfew like 11:30 or something like that, I'm not too sure. We will go into extra innings until that point.
I'm pretty sure for us it's at least 1 inning of extra innings. But I think the coaches have to like talk it out and be like,
Yeah.
okay, do you want to go to this extra inning?
Okay.
Going back to that question of what's the difference? It's really for me, I'm a 7A school, so we're pretty big, and we're also like one of the hardest regions of 7A. We got Buford, Mill Creek, Decula, Central Gwinnett, and us. And next year we had Discovery, so not really that much, but we still got a pretty hard region in the top. So, but it's very similar to what Hampton was saying. Is like for Sauce, like if we don't have pitching that we like, we go out there and get a pitcher.
Right.
Um, it's a day that the guy's already thrown. Like, okay, then they're gonna have this amount of days of rest. But it's like I threw a game Thursday on like last Thursday, but then I got called up to JV to pitch on Tuesday. But I didn't end up pitching because they didn't know. It's like they really just go off of okay, can this guy shove? He's gonna pitch. Um, but it's also just skill set too, because like you said, you don't have many like rec organizations or anything around you or travel stuff.
Right.
But for us,
Right.
we have a lot of them.
Right.
For us, so we have a lot of them around us. So it's like we have higher skill guys, but it's like on freshman ball, there's not many of those high end guys.
Mhm.
Like me, Joey, and then there's a couple of other guys are like the only guys that have played travel. The rest of the guys are rec guys. So it's like
Really.
they don't know a lot of like the baseball knowledge like we
Mhm.
do. So it's like you
Yeah.
got to tell them or you got to help them understand like why you do this in this situation and all of that.
Right.
And then also back to like commit wise, we also only have one D1 commit. I mean, it's lucky it's a 6'5" lefty
Yeah.
who throws like 80s. So it's not that's it's pretty good, but
Right.
it's just a lot of skill set wise and still mindset because like those guys that are the lower skill think they're gonna get ran over by these guys that are higher skill sets. Like
Exactly.
we faced a guy who was an eighth grader because they were allowed to play up, and he was
Mhm.
throwing around, but he had terrible control. So we were like, dude, you just gotta let the guy walk you at this point, basically, because you've never
Yeah.
seen this before.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let him walk you, and if you strike out, try to make contact. We're not gonna get mad at you for not trying to do something. If you try to do something, that's when we are like, okay, you try to do this, like let's fix it so next time you actually do it.
Hmm.
So it's just a lot of like talking them through it, talking people through it and getting their mindsets right so they can know like in this situation what to do and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I actually have a question for you, Grayson. So obviously you've been playing travel for Sauce, and I believe y'all are practicing on and off still, right? Because y'all don't have like a middle school program where you're
Yeah,
at, do you?
we practice at Peachtree Ridge.
Yeah. Okay. So, what are you expecting in high school? So obviously, you have travel ball experience. I'm sure you've probably played rec ball at a point or another point in your career. But what are you expecting to see out of your high school, and where do you think you stack up in the depth chart?
So Duluth High School, I think, is a 6A, I think. So I'm not actually sure. I went to watch a varsity game, and yeah, they're pretty good.
Mhm.
I don't know what the different skill sets or how many different people are gonna try out and are gonna make the. I don't even know if they have a freshman team, to be honest.
Right.
So,
My biggest advice to you would be to get to know that coach and become very good friends with him.
oh yeah,
That's probably
I've already interviewed that coach, so.
that's great. That is the
Mhm.
best thing you can do.
So yeah, I
And
have no
not
idea how my experience is gonna be. I don't know what the
Mhm.
players that I'm trying out with are gonna be like. I only
Right.
like 3 or 4 guys that go to my school that are going to Duluth and trying out for the team.
That's good. Well,
kind of piggyback of what Hamp said, like at least get one coach you're comfortable with.
right.
Because you're not going to obviously be comfortable with every single coach because you're going to probably have a lot of coaches. I think we have like 4 or 5 coaches on our
Mhm.
staff. Like get at least one guy you can go to and be like, okay, this is happening. How can I fix this? And he can
Mhm.
send you to another guy. And then they're going to all talk together and be like, this is what this guy's doing. So you just need at least one guy, whether it's your head coach, your assistant coach, or just like a manager type of guy. They're all going to talk and be like, okay, this guy's doing this guy's doing that. Is he going to get up? Is he going to have to go down? All that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So before we finish up, I have a few points that I want to go over. I'm sure because you guys don't live under a rock, I'm sure you guys have probably seen about the big deal about the new team jerseys and the generic merchandise and the see-through pants. So what's your take on those uniforms?
Jamie, you want to go? You want to take this one first?
Yeah, I'm just not good. I never really buy jerseys or anything, so I'm not a big guy to like go after and ask like because I know Fanatics or anything is trying to like take over and stuff because they're the big jersey company. It's not like I really ever supported them, but it's like this trial and error period. Like they do have to fix it before the season starts.
For sure.
Before you go, Hampton, I have one thing more to point out.
That's right.
Fanatics, uh, even though they're selling cheap merchandise and they're cutting down their costs, they're
Mhm.
still sold out on pants. So teams like the Reds have to play with the 2023 pants, which is better for them because they don't have to play with the 2024 pants.
Right.
So they're literally cutting costs on merchandise. So what is your take?
Yeah, I've seen some pretty horrendous pictures online about guys stretching, and it's pretty brutal. I would be quite angry if I was a big league guy getting you know little league quality pants, at the highest stage. I mean, it is spring training, so they got time to kind of fix this, but unfortunately, I don't know that they're gonna put a total and complete effort into the fan aspect of it. The jerseys, there's the same price, if not more. I think in a lot of cases more, but it's just like ironed on logos that are just real cheaply made, which I'm sure there's probably some environmental aspect to that, but still they need to execute much better on the quality because
Mhm, yeah,
that's
I agree.
that's unacceptable for a
Mhm.
pro stock.
Like Otani, Michael Lorenzen was doing an interview, and you could see like his like tucked in jersey,
Mhm.
and it was just like so like I couldn't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Like it was so stupid. Um, so next thing I want to do is obviously the off season has been filled with huge moves. Shohei Ohtani, Yamamoto, Glasnow to the Dodgers. But some guys like Blake Snell and Matt Chapman haven't even signed yet. If we did this interview yesterday, Bellinger would have also been there, but Bellinger finally re-signed.
Mhm.
So well, what do you guys think of the offseason moves?
I'll go first. As a Braves fan, you know, obviously we took the L today against, I believe, the Red Sox, but I'm pretty confident in what we're seeing. We got a lot of young guys, a lot of leaders, current reigning MVP, but with the Blake Snell, or not Blake Snell signing, sorry, Chris Sale signing, I think we're gonna have a much better rotation. We got some quality guys up there with Strider, and I think Braves might. It's going to be hard to get past the Dodgers in the NLCS, but I'm just hoping that we make it to
Mhm.
that point. But I think we'll have a pretty good run.
Mhm. And Jameson, as a Cardinals fan, what do you think the Cardinals and their what some people are calling the old man rotation? What do you think their season's gonna look like?
Um, so a big thing with the Cardinals is they've always been straight A ticket sellers, and
Mhm.
they've always had almost every game sold out, and all their season tickets are sold out. And when they didn't have season tickets sold out last year because they knew they're going to be bad, that's a real punch in the face for the organization. So I really liked what the management did this offseason, like taking in Sonny Gray, getting Kyle Gibson, getting Lance Lynn. Yeah, they weren't the greatest guys that you could have grabbed, but you still got to keep payroll in mind because you got Nolan Arenado and you got Goldschmidt and you got to pay Lars Nootbaar soon. Um, so I like what they tried to do, that they're trying to do it, and they're like their pitching coaching, like their philosophy works for a bunch of guys. And Lance Lynn's already been through here with us. And if he takes that philosophy in like he had, I like it. Kyle Gibson's kind of the wild card guy because I don't know all that much about him, but I'm really excited for the future with those three guys, and at least trying to do something because I
Mhm.
hate when we finish last and when we don't have fan attendance.
Mhm. But what do you think this offseason as a whole is like?
The offseason whole, I mean, I think you heard about what my episode that I made, my Instagram reel that I made. It's a very slow offseason, I think.
The
Um,
episode me
because
wait,
you had the guys in
the episode we made together was like the same thing.
Yeah, because it's just been very slow because you had at the beginning you had a bunch of the big guys signing, but between like November and now, like you had nobody signing. It's
Yeah.
just been super slow and nobody's wanted to go to a place. It's like I hate it because I want all this news and anything, but it's
Right.
like don't want to go anywhere. Like pitchers and catchers have already reported, and Blake Snell's not even signed. He's the reigning NL
Mhm.
Cy Young.
And
Yeah.
teams
So
are
it's
starting, and teams are starting playing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like teams started yesterday. All 30 teams played yesterday.
Right.
So
Hmm. Yeah,
it's like
it is.
I think MLB needs to implement like a time frame that guys need to sign. And if they
Mhm.
For
don't
sure.
sign, that their payroll is forced to be reduced or anything,
I
or
Or
not even
signing
gets
bonus goes down or something like that.
yeah, something like that. There's got to be some sort of
Time
implementation of
clause. Yeah,
hey,
I
you
agree.
need to
100%.
sign.
hmm Especially for like big name guys like Blake Snell, Matt Chapman, JD Martinez hasn't even signed yet.
Yeah, that's a good one.
hmm So,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it for the topics. There's one more thing I want to go over. And Jameson, I heard about the new short form content that you're creating over at Into the Trees Network. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I have really had a hard time of committing my time to making episodes like you have. I liked the overall idea of it, and when I get time to do it, I would like to keep it going. But it's like these sort of videos get more views, which is going to help the long form content even be better.
Hmm.
So, and it's just a short amount of time to make. Like I can make these videos in half an hour to an hour, compared to recording is probably taking going to be that time, and then editing and all that. So it's just like I like that I can do this more often and have less time to take out of my day to do this. And I'm
Mhm.
doing Sunday, like every Sunday episode is what my plan is. And I've been sticking to it for these past two episodes. And it just I can commit my time to it because I have nothing really going on Sundays other than just like lessons and stuff here and there because my high school stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, you're totally right. Short form content. I've listened to some of your episodes. Yeah, I think that's the right thing you should do.
Hmm.
Because I remember the most recent episode that we did together. It took like 3 hours for just to record it, and I'm sure it took you so much
Yeah,
longer to edit it too.
yeah, it took forever. Like I think I took like we recorded it from like noon to 5. I didn't come out of my room and
So,
like The next day, I spent like 2 hours just going through all the recordings and snipping stuff here and there.
Because we had to
Just
like
for
set our
probably not even,
topics and talk about it. It was
yeah,
so long.
yeah, just for probably a majority of people not even to listen to the full thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like if this is like a minute 32-minute snippet, people more than likely want to view it all and stuff.
Right.
So
Yeah. So is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
Um, I just want to make a point, to all the young fans out there, young baseball players, athletes. We are students first, and that's probably that'll get you more playing time than anything is good grades. So, make sure that's kind of the priority. Obviously, get that work in whenever you can, but also, stay on top of them grades before you go hit and all that, because that's pretty dang important. That's how you play, is
Yeah.
getting good grades. So.
Mm-hmm.
that's why we're called student athletes, not athlete students. Because
That's right.
I've already seen guys like not get playing time because of
Because
them
they
not
don't turn in a
having good.
paper. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing with also just going to practice. Like
Hmm.
that's the whole reason I was able to play that one JV game on Tuesday. Is I had a kid who had a cruise that he had planned, but he decided to go to the cruise instead of going to practice. He had like 7 months to be able to like cancel the cruise and all that, and
Right.
like so they suspended him for a game. And then the other kid had COVID, who is behind him, so they had no other choice. So it's like you have this situation where you could start, but you decided to screw it all up because you wanted to have your own fun instead of actually trying to get better. Which, yes, you're supposed to have your own fun, but you're in the beginning of the season and it's your second game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
You should
you got
have
to
your
have priority.
priorities set out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you got to have priorities and you have to have time set out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very cool. Anything else? Anything else, guys?
Just want to say good
Just,
luck with the
Mm-hmm.
spring travel ball season to you, Grayson,
Same
and
to you guys. Good luck with your high school season.
yes, sir.
yeah, I was
Keep
just going to
killing
say
it,
stay on
JJ.
the grind and just
Mm-hmm.
don't let anything, let anything let up. Don't let anything in your head stop you. Just, you can do it. Just be confident.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Thank you guys so much for the great high school baseball insight. And thanks for being on the show. You
Absolutely.
can follow these dudes at baller.jameson.jones.1 and at hampton.roland.baseball. Good luck this season. And listeners, you can help my show by subscribing to Baseball Podcasts Are Fun on YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram. And go check out Boys on the Bases podcast. Please
Oh
check
yeah.
back. Please check back soon for an all new guest. Until then, that was Jameson Jones and Hampton Roland. I'm Grayson Knight, and this was Baseball Podcasts Are Fun. Don't forget to swing for the fences. See ya.